So, uh, have you ever paused and truly wondered what separates the ultra-successful from, well, everyone else?
Yeah.
It often feels like it's more than just their education, or background, or even just pure hard work.
Right.
There seems to be something deeper going on, like a powerful mindset,
Uh-huh.
almost an unseen force, turning ideas into actual income.
It's that elusive quality, isn't it? The ability not just to dream big, but to consistently, make those dreams real.
Exactly.
And that precisely is the invisible thread we're going to pull on today.
Yes. We're diving deep into Napoleon Hill's legendary book, Think and Grow Rich. And this isn't just like another business book.
No, not at all.
It's really a blueprint that's impacted millions, from entrepreneurs just starting out to, self-made billionaires.
And the story behind it is just as fascinating as the ideas themselves.
It really is. Tell us about that.
Well, the whole philosophy kicked off over a century ago. How kill, he was a young journalist back then, and he lands this interview with Andrew Carnegie.
Wow, Carnegie himself.
Yeah, one of the richest men on the planet. And Carnegie, known for being pretty direct, he throws down this challenge. He says, essentially, spend the next 20 years studying 500 of America's top achievers.
20 years.
20 years. People like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, giants. The mission, to figure out if there was a common success formula they all used.
That's an incredible undertaking.
Yeah.
And he'll accept it.
He did. Remarkably, he took on this multi-decade quest.
And what was the core idea he found? The big takeaway.
After all that research, the central principle he distilled was powerful and honestly pretty simple on the surface. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
Conceive and believe. Both parts are key.
Absolutely.
So our mission today is to pull out the most important nuggets from this timeless work. We'll mix those lessons with some surprising facts, real-life examples, just to make these principles really come alive for you listening right now.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with that foundation, the mindset. Hill insists every great success begins not with just a wish, but with what he called a burning desire, a white-hot obsession. How's that different from just, wanting something really badly?
That's a really critical distinction. Hill wasn't talking about a casual, oh, I'd like that. He meant this intense, almost consuming emotional longing, so strong it pushes you through any obstacle.
Okay.
Think of Edwin C. Barnes. Amazing story. This guy had zero money, no connections, nothing. But he had this one single burning desire to work with Thomas Edison.
With him, not just for him.
Exactly, that's key. He didn't just want a job, he wanted partnership, collaboration. So he shows up at Edison's lab, basically declares his intention.
Have a move.
Very goal. And it wasn't instant success. It took years of him just sticking around, doing odd jobs, proving his worth, holding on to that desire. But eventually, Edison saw that unwavering drive and gave him a unique shot. Barnes became a full partner, made millions selling the Itaphone.
Wow. So that desire was specific, intense, and he acted on it relentlessly.
Precisely. It created its own momentum because it was so focused.
And Hill actually laid out steps for this, didn't he? Like a practical way to cultivate that kind of desire.
Yes, he was very practical. He gave 6 clear steps, almost like a formula. First, be crystal clear on the exact amount of money or the specific success you desire. No vagueness.
Okay, be specific.
Second, decide exactly what you intend to give in return. Success isn't free. There's always a price.
Right, what's the trade-off?
Third, set a definite deadline. When will you achieve this?
A target date. Got it.
Fourth, create a definite plan to get there. Even if the plan isn't perfect, make one and start.
Action is key.
Fifth, write it all down clearly.
Yeah.
The goal, the price, the deadline, the plan.
Put on paper.
And finally, sixth, read this written statement aloud twice a day, once when you wake up, once before bed, and crucially, feel it as you read it.
That sounds like mental programming. Why the repetition?
That's exactly what it is. It's about consciously impressing this desire onto your subconscious mind, which leads right into the next piece. Faith.
Okay, faith.
Desire points the way, but faith is the fuel. Hill believed really strongly that our minds respond powerfully to emotion. Repeating your goals with feeling day after day starts to convince your subconscious mind that this goal is not just possible, but inevitable.
You start to believe it's already happening, in a way.
Exactly. You have to believe you can receive it before you actually do. It primes the pump.
And there's that quote, right? Faith is the only known antidote for failure.
Powerful, isn't it? And he wasn't talking about blind hope. This is about actively wiring your brain through things like visualization, affirmations, that daily repetition, to expect success, to act as if it's already yours. It builds this unshakable inner conviction.
So how do you keep feeding your mind that conviction consistently? That's where autosuggestion comes in.
Precisely. Autosuggestion is literally self-suggestion. Think of it like advertising, but you're advertising your goals to yourself.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yes. You're deliberately planting these seeds, these ideas of success, into your subconscious mind. You water them daily with that repetition, with emotion. And just as importantly, you pull out the weeds, the doubts, the fears, the negative messages from outside.
So practically, how does one do autosuggestion?
It can be simple. Record yourself stating your goals, your definite purpose, with genuine feeling. Listen to it regularly, especially just before sleep when the subconscious is more receptive. Over time, your mind starts accepting these statements as commands, as reality, and it begins to unconsciously figure out ways to make them happen.
And Hill had a warning about this, didn't he? Something about controlling your thoughts.
Yes, a really crucial warning, especially now. If you don't control what goes in your mind, someone else will.
Wow. That hits hard today with social media, news cycles.
Absolutely. Constant input. You have to be the gatekeeper of your own mind.
Okay, so we have desire, faith, autosuggestion. What about imagination? Where does that fit?
Imagination is huge. Hill called it the workshop of the mind. Think about it. Everything humans have created, everything around us.
This microphone, the studio.
Exactly. Your phone, the chair you're sitting on, the building we're in it all started as an idea, an image in someone's imagination. That's where all plans are born.
You talked about two types of imagination, right?
Yes. Synthetic imagination, which is basically rearranging existing concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations, like combining existing technologies in a new way.
Okay.
And then there's creative imagination. This is where entirely new ideas seem to spring forth, often from the subconscious. Those aha moments, flashes of insight. This is where true breakthroughs happen.
Can you give an example?
Well, Coca-Cola is a classic one. For years, it was just a syrup, right? Sold in pharmacies, mixed at soda fountains. But then someone imagined something different. They imagined bottling it, creating a consistent product that could be sold anywhere, distributed globally. That act of imagination, taking the existing syrup and envisioning a whole new delivery system and scale, that turned it into a billion-dollar empire.
That really puts it into perspective, the power of just seeing things differently.
Exactly. So for you listening, a good question to ask yourself daily might be, what can I create today? What problem can I solve in a new way? How can I use my imagination, synthetic or creative, to add value?
That's a great practical takeaway. Okay, so we've built the mental foundation. Desire, faith, autosuggestion, imagination, powerful stuff. But, just thinking isn't enough.
Not even close.
How do you translate that inner game into real-world action and results? Hill had a lot to say about strategy and execution. It starts with knowledge, but not just any knowledge.
Right. We all hear knowledge is power. Hill put a twist on it. He said applied specialized knowledge is power.
Applied and specialized. What does that mean practically?
It means knowing a little bit about everything won't necessarily make you wealthy. But mastering one specific skill or field deeply, maybe it's sales, coding, social media marketing, a niche area of finance, maybe even plumbing or electrical work, and then applying that knowledge with intense focus. That's what builds fortunes.
So it's depth over breadth.
In many cases, yes. Hill noticed that every single wealthy person he studied had either personally mastered one vital skill or, crucially, they were smart enough to hire someone who had mastered it and leverage their expertise.
So the advice is pretty clear then.
Yeah. Pick a lane, go deep, get really, really good at something specific that solves a real problem for people, then apply it.
Okay, you got the specialized knowledge. What's next? You need a map, right?
Exactly. That's where organized planning comes in. Hill saw planning as the essential bridge. It turns that dream, that burning desire fueled by faith, from just a wish floating around in your head into a concrete path forward.
Makes sense.
He really stressed making detailed plans, thinking through the steps, but then, and this is key, acting on them immediately. Don't wait for the perfect plan.
Right, because perfectionism can paralyze you.
Totally. And just as important was the willingness to adjust the plan. Successful people don't scrap their goal when they hit a roadblock. They adjust their plan, they iterate, they find another way.
So it's not rigid adherence, it's flexible persistence towards the goal.
That's it perfectly. It's dynamic. The old saying fits. Plan your work and work your plan. Break down the big goal. What needs to happen this year, this month, this week, today. But again, don't get lost in endless planning. Start moving. Course correct as you go.
Okay, planning and acting. What about decision-making itself? That seems crucial.
Hugely crucial. Hill observed a very distinct trait in successful people. They make decisions quickly and firmly, and once made, they change them very slowly, if at all.
Quickly decide, slowly change. Why is that so important?
Because, as Hill saw it, indecision is the seedling of fear. When you waffle, when you delay making a choice, you create space for doubt and fear to creep in. And fear paralyzes action.
Okay, that makes sense.
Think about Henry Ford again. He was famous, maybe infamous, for his decisiveness. Once he made up his mind on something, like the Model T design or the $5 workday, he was immovable. That absolute certainty, that lack of wavering, made him incredibly powerful and, well, unstoppable in many ways.
So a challenge for you listening might be, what's one decision, even a small one, you've been putting off? Make it today. Maybe make 3. Just feel that shift in momentum when you commit.
Exactly. Feel the power of deciding.
Okay, so we're moving, we're deciding,
Yeah.
but the path isn't always smooth, right? Setbacks happen.
Always. The road to significant achievement is almost never easy. Most people, honestly, give up when they face real resistance or failure.
But the successful ones don't. This brings us to persistence.
Yes, persistence. That unwavering determination to keep going no matter what. Hill equated it with sheer force of will, with character.
He tells that story, right? The miner.
Oh, the 3 feet from gold story.
Yeah.
Classic. This miner digs and digs, invests everything, faces hardship, gets discouraged, and finally quits. Sells his equipment for pennies.
Oh, no.
The guy who buys the equipment brings in an engineer who says, the vein looks like it continues, just 3 feet further over. The new guy digs those 3 feet and hits one of the biggest gold strikes ever.
Wow. Just 3 feet away.
It's a brutal lesson in persistence, a reminder of how close we might be to success right when the urge to quit feels strongest.
So how did Hill describe persistence?
He used a powerful analogy. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. It's the element that provides strength, resilience, the ability to withstand pressure.
So when you feel like giving up,
That's the moment to dig deep, remember why you started, reconnect with that burning desire. That's where the real growth happens, forging that inner steel.
okay, we've covered a lot on the individual front. The mindset, the planning, the action, the persistence. But Hill also talked about leverage, right? Looking beyond just yourself.
Absolutely. He made it clear. No one achieves massive success entirely alone. You need to leverage collaboration and maybe even deeper forces. This leads us to the mastermind principle.
It's a mastermind.
Yeah.
Sounds intriguing. What is it?
It's basically forming a small group, an alliance, with one or more people who are simpatico with your goals. You meet regularly, maybe weekly, to brainstorm, share challenges, provide mutual support, and hold each other accountable.
So it's like a personal board of advisors.
Kind of, yeah, but with a focus on synergy. Hill believed that when 2 or more minds coordinate in a spirit of harmony, they tap into a greater collective intelligence. Andrew Carnegie, Hill's mentor, attributed much of his success to his mastermind group, about 50 key people he relied on.
50. That's a lot. Do you need that many?
Oh, definitely not to start. Hill suggested even just 2 or 3 like-minded individuals can create that powerful dynamic. Find people you trust who are also driven and commit to supporting each other's journey.
Because energy multiplies in a group.
Exactly. The collective energy, ideas, and accountability can propel everyone forward much faster than they could go alone.
Okay, the mastermind makes sense. What about the more internal, maybe subconscious elements?
Right. Hill delved deep here, too. He talked extensively about the subconscious mind. Think of it as this vast storehouse. Everything you think, feel, fear, desire, especially things you repeat, gets filed away in there.
And it's always working.
Always. It never sleeps. It's constantly processing the information you feed it, working to bring about the conditions that match your dominant thoughts and beliefs, whether they're positive or negative.
So it's crucial what you feed it.
Absolutely critical. And here's where it gets really interesting. Hill believed the subconscious mind is our connection point to what he called infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence. What do you mean by that?
Think of it as the universal source of all knowledge, creativity, intuition, your gut feelings, those sudden insights, the solutions that pop into your head when you're relaxed, maybe taking a walk or showering.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Hill suggested those often come through your subconscious, accessing this larger intelligence. Your conscious mind steps aside for a moment and the answer bubbles up from this deeper place.
But you need to cultivate that connection.
Yes. By feeding your subconscious positive, clear desires and goals, by quieting the mental chatter sometimes, you create the conditions for those insights to emerge. You have to deliberately feed it and fiercely guard it against negativity. It's like the soil from which your reality grows.
Which leads us, I think, to Hill's most mysterious principle, the sixth sense.
Yes, the capstone, in a way. The sixth sense. This is that hunch, that inner knowing, that intuition or gut feeling that guides you sometimes, even without any logical reason you can pinpoint.
How did Hill describe it?
He called it the door to the temple of wisdom. He saw it as the pinnacle of applying all the other principles. It's not something you can just switch on or force.
Oh, that is a manifest.
It tends to appear when your mind is really clear, highly attuned, focused on your definite purpose, and operating in harmony, often thanks to mastering things like desire, faith, autosuggestion, and working with a mastermind. It's like all the channels are clear and you become receptive to a higher level of insight.
It's that feeling of just knowing the right thing to do.
Exactly. That intuitive leap. It feels almost like a download rather than a reasoned conclusion. Hill believed this was the level where geniuses like Edison operated regularly.
So for us, for the listener, what's the takeaway here? How do we cultivate this?
It's about doing the work on the other principles first. Build the foundation, clarify your desire, strengthen your faith, manage your thoughts, plan, act, persist, collaborate. As you align yourself more fully, you become more sensitive to that inner guidance. The key then becomes learning to listen to it.
To trust that quiet inner voice.
Yes, to trust it even when logic doesn't fully back it up yet. That takes practice and courage.
So wrapping this all up, Hill's definition of riches wasn't just about money, was it?
No, not at all. That's a beautiful and crucial point. True riches, in Hill's view, were much broader. Yes, financial independence is part of it, but it also includes vibrant health, peace of mind, loving relationships, personal freedom, and living with a strong sense of purpose.
So the book, while often seen as a wealth-building guide,
It is that, but it's fundamentally about personal transformation. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts and creates abundance in all its forms.
right, you don't just think and grow rich.
Exactly. You think, yes, but you also act, you believe, you persist, you collaborate, you listen to your intuition, and through that whole process, you become rich, both inside and out.
That's a powerful reframing. So now it's over to you listening. You've just taken in a century's worth of wisdom distilled from incredibly successful minds.
It's a lot to absorb.
Definitely. So our challenge to you is this. Don't just let it sit there. Pick one principle, just one thing that resonated with you today. Maybe it's defining your desire. Maybe it's making a decision. Maybe it's starting a plan. And take one small action on it today.
Just one small step.
Because your future isn't really written in luck or chance. It's written in your thoughts, your beliefs, and crucially, your actions.
Think, grow, rise.